I arrived early, which in our family is another way of saying I arrived unnecessarily. The hall was already bright with flowers that smelled faintly of disinfectant and roses, chairs aligned with military precision. People who mattered were busy. People like me waited to be useful. No one told me where to sit. I stood for a while, hands folded, jacket buttoned, even though the room was warm. I watched my brother laugh too loudly with his friends, watched my mother fuss with a corsage that didn't need adjusting. Everything looked finished except me. When the photographer arrived, things became efficient. That's when roles hardened. "Just stand near the wall for now," he said, smiling the way people smile when they think they're being considerate. "We'll pull you in if needed." Near the wall meant beside a column that blocked half my body. It wasn't humiliating. That would have required intention. This was logistical. I nodded, because nodding has always been my best skill. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself weddings are chaos. I told myself I was being mature. These explanations stacked neatly inside me, practiced and reliable. Then I noticed the seating. My place, if it had ever existed, was occupied by a man I didn't recognize. He was relaxed, jacket off, leaning back as if he belonged there by default. Someone mentioned, casually, that he was my brother's fiancée's cousin's +1. No one seemed embarrassed explaining this to me, which meant no one saw a problem. I stood there long enough for the music rehearsal to loop twice. Long enough to realize no one was coming back for me. There's a strange clarity that comes when you stop waiting. Not anger, not sadness, just the end of expectation. I walked to the gift table. The envelopes were stacked in tidy rows, names written carefully, amounts unspoken but understood. I found mine easily. I had chosen the envelope with the heavier paper, the one that looked appropriate for a sibling. I debated the amount longer than I should have. Now it felt like an artifact from a different decision. I took it back. A few people noticed. Not enough to cause a scene, but enough that the action existed. Actions matter more when they can't be denied. My brother saw me then. He smiled at first, automatic, distracted. I walked past him toward the exit. He called my name, lightly, the way you call someone you assume will stop. I didn't. Near the door, I turned just enough to be heard. Not enough to invite discussion. "Don't worry," I said. "I'll stay out of the frame forever." It wasn't clever. It wasn't loud. It was simply true in that moment. I left. The air outside was cooler, quieter. Cars lined the lot like they were waiting for something important to happen. I stood there longer than necessary, breathing, letting the noise dull. Then I heard footsteps. Fast. Uneven, my brother came running. He looked panicked in a way I had never seen, not because he was losing me, but because something was unraveling without his permission. He grabbed my arm, not hard, but urgently. "What are you doing?" he asked. Not why. What, as if this were a procedural error. "I was in the way," I said. "That's not true." He said it too quickly. As if speed could replace evidence. "People are noticing," he added, lowering his voice. "You can't just leave." That's when it shifted. Not dramatically, quietly. He wasn't asking me to come back inside because I mattered. He was asking because my absence now had shape. It affected the picture. "I wasn't included," I said, calmly. I surprised myself with how calm it sounded. So I removed myself. It seemed consistent. He opened his mouth, closed it. Looked back toward the doors, where someone was clearly watching. Authority doesn't always wear uniforms. Sometimes it's a room full of witnesses. "I can fix this," he said. "I'll get you a seat." I shook my head. "I don't want a seat now," I said. "I wanted one when it was normal." For a moment, he looked angry. Then embarrassed. Then tired. These emotions passed over him like weather he hadn't dressed for. "You're making this a big deal," he said. "No," I replied. "I'm making it clear." He let go of my arm. We stood there, siblings reduced to two adults negotiating space. "I have to go back," he said finally. "I know." He hesitated, then nodded, as if accepting terms he hadn't agreed to. He walked away without another word. I stayed until he was inside, until the doors closed, until the music resumed its cheerful certainty. Then I walked to my car. I didn't cry on the drive home. That surprised me too. What I felt was lighter, but not happy. Like setting down something heavy you didn't realize you were carrying because everyone told you it was normal weight. Later, I would hear how the wedding went, how beautiful it was, how strange it was that I left. The story would shift depending on who told it. That was fine. I didn't correct anyone. What mattered was simpler. For once, I hadn't stayed near the wall.